Have you ever, stopped and noticed how a certain smell can just bring back a memory? Like, it can totally transport you back to a specific time, almost like a time machine,
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
Well, today we're going to deep dive into the whole world of odor-evoked memory and explore, the science behind it. You might be surprised just how powerful our sense of smell really is.
Yeah, it really is remarkable. It's like a simple whiff of something can unlock all these emotions and memories, really vivid memories.
Oh, totally. Have you ever heard of the Proust phenomenon?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, named after that author who so vividly described this experience. He talked about being transported back to his childhood just from the smell of a Madeleine cookie dipped in tea.
It's a classic example, isn't it?
It is, it is. So for this deep dive, we're going to be looking at a 2004 study from the journal Neuropsychologia, and it really goes deep into why smells seem to have such a unique and strong effect on our memories.
Yeah. And, before we get into the brain scans and all that,
Yeah.
it's important to understand that this idea that smells trigger more emotional memories than our other senses, it's not really new.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's actually been quite a bit of research on this, like behavioral research, that supports this idea.
Interesting. What kind of research has been done on that?
Well, for example, researchers have done experiments where they presented people with different sensory cues like sights, sounds, and of course smells.
Right.
And they measured their emotional responses. And consistently, smells just evoked stronger emotional reactions than, say, seeing a picture or hearing a familiar sound.
So it's not just that people say that smells make them feel things more intensely, but their bodies are actually reacting differently too.
Exactly. They measured things like heart rate and other physiological responses, and odors just consistently came out on top.
That's wild. It really makes you wonder what's going on in the brain to create this powerful link between smells and emotions.
Well, that's where things get really interesting. The key seems to lie in the unique way our sense of smell is wired. Unlike our other senses, smell has a direct connection to the amygdala.
Oh, the amygdala.
Yes, the amygdala, a part of the brain that's heavily involved in processing emotions, especially, fear and pleasure.
Right, the amygdala. I remember learning about it, but could you just remind me what exactly it does?
So imagine your amygdala as like an emotional watchdog. It's constantly scanning for information that might be important for survival, and it reacts really strongly to emotionally charged input, especially, from our senses.
I see.
And because smell has this direct pathway to the amygdala, sense can essentially bypass other processing centers and just trigger this immediate and powerful emotional response.
So it's like a super highway for smells straight to our emotional center.
You got it.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about this fMRI study now. What did the researchers actually do to investigate this?
Well, they recruited 5 women for the study, and each woman had to pick a perfume that had a strong personal meaning for them, a scent that was really connected to a positive memory.
Oh, wow. I can only imagine the kinds of memories those perfumes must have evoked. Everything from childhood vacations to the scent of a loved one's embrace. I'm getting nostalgic just thinking about it.
Yeah, it's really powerful, isn't it? So the researchers were really interested in these deep personal scent memory connections. To study this, they used fMRI, which is a brain imaging technique, to measure brain activity while the participants were exposed to different stimuli.
Okay, so they had these women smell different things while their brains were being scanned. What exactly were they smelling?
Well, there were 4 different stimuli. First, there was the scent of the perfume each woman had chosen, the one with the personal memory attached. We can call this the experimental odor.
Gotcha.
And they also showed the women a picture of that perfume bottle.
So they could both smell and see the perfume that held that special meaning for them.
Ex-
What were the other two stimuli then?
Well, the researchers wanted to be sure that the reactions they were seeing weren't just due to any smell or image. So they included a control odor.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, like a generic perfume scent that didn't have any personal significance for the participants, and a picture of that generic perfume bottle. This way, they could compare the brain's response to a meaningful scent versus a neutral one.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's like a scientific control group for the experiment.
Exactly.
So they had these women smell and see both meaningful and neutral perfumes while their brains were being scanned. What did they find? Did the amygdala react more strongly to the meaningful scent? So we were talking about that fMRI study where they looked at how our brains respond to these personal scents. I'm dying to hear what they found.
Yeah, well, the results really highlight that special connection between smell and the amygdala, that emotional processing center we talked about.
Right.
So when the participants, those 5 women, smelled their chosen perfume, the one with the memory attached, their amygdala showed way more activity compared to when they smelled that plain perfume or just looked at the pictures.
Wow, so their brains are really lighting up, like the amygdala was saying, hey, pay attention to the smell.
Exactly. It's like it recognized something important.
Hmm.
And it's not just the amygdala working on its own. They also saw more activity in the parahippocampal gyrus.
The perihippocampal
Yeah, it's
gyrus.
a brain area that's super important for long-term memory.
Okay.
So this finding suggests that scent, emotion, and memory, they're all connected, like really intertwined in our brains.
So it's like this whole network of brain regions lighting up when we smell something meaningful.
Yeah, exactly, like a chain reaction.
But did the participants themselves, did they feel anything different?
Oh, absolutely. They said they felt way more emotional when they smelled their own special perfume. So their actual experience matched what was happening in their brains.
So it's not just a bunch of fancy brain scans, they actually felt it too.
Yeah, for sure.
This is so cool. Were there any other, like, curious things that stood out in this study?
One interesting thing was that they actually sniffed harder when they were exposed to their special perfume. It's like without even knowing it, their brains were recognizing the scent and saying, get more of that.
Wow, that's wild. So our sense of smell, it almost has its own intelligence, leading us towards the sense that means something to us.
You could say that.
So we've talked about the strong link between smell and emotion and memory, but what does it all mean? Like, what's the takeaway here for us?
Yeah, that's the big question. It seems like there are huge implications for this.
Yeah.
And we're just starting to understand them. Like one thing that comes to mind is therapy. If specific smells can bring up positive emotions, could we use them to help people struggling with things like depression or anxiety, maybe even trauma?
That's a really interesting thought. How would that even work?
Well, imagine using scents to help someone access happy memories.
Yeah.
If you have a client who's feeling down, maybe you introduce a smell that reminds them of a joyful time. Like, say, the smell of baking cookies reminds them of being in their grandma's kitchen. Or maybe a specific perfume takes them back to a happy vacation.
Right, right.
By triggering those happy memories, you might be able to shift their mood, create a more positive state for them.
That's incredible. It's like using scent as a tool to unlock these positive emotions.
Exactly.
I see how that could be really powerful. Are there other fields where this research could be applied?
For sure. Another area is marketing.
Marketing.
Yeah, think about those stores that have their own signature scents, or how companies use fragrances to create a certain image for their brand.
Oh, yeah. I've definitely walked into a store and been completely drawn in by a delicious smell. It makes you want to stay longer and maybe even buy something.
Exactly. And as we learn more about how scents work on our brains and emotions, we can expect to see, even more clever uses of scent marketing. But it doesn't have to be just about getting us to buy stuff. There's potential here to use this knowledge for good, to improve our well-being.
Now, that's what I'm talking about. How can we use this knowledge about scent to benefit ourselves?
Well, one really interesting area is the idea of using scent to enhance our learning and memory.
Wait, really? Are you saying that smelling something can actually help you remember things better?
Well, it's not as simple as just, sniffing something and suddenly having a photographic memory.
Right.
But there's evidence that certain scents, like rosemary, can help with memory performance.
Fascinating. How does that work?
Well, researchers think these scents might be increasing alertness or stimulating specific parts of the brain that deal with memory formation. It's still being studied, but it's a really exciting possibility.
So maybe I can't just sniff my way to an A+ on my next exam, but maybe using certain scents while I study could help.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And beyond academics, think about the potential for using scent to help with focus, creativity, even athletic performance.
This is blowing my mind. We've gone from Proust and his cookies to therapy to marketing, even peak performance, all thanks to our sense of smell.
It's amazing.
It makes you realize how much we take our sense of smell for granted. It's not just about nice smells. It's really a huge part of who we are.
It really is.
Yeah.
And as we learn more about it, who knows what amazing applications we'll find.
So we've been on this amazing journey exploring the world of odor-evoked memory. From brain scans to marketing strategies, we've really covered a lot.
Yeah, it's been pretty fascinating, hasn't it?
It really has. But, I'm curious. We've talked about all this research and, therapy and marketing, but what does it all mean for us, like individually? How can we use this knowledge to improve our own lives?
Oh, that's a great question. I think a good first step is just becoming more aware of of the scents around us and how they make us feel. Like, we often go through our day without really thinking about smell, but it's always there, influencing our mood, our memories, even our behavior.
Right. Right. So instead of just like, mindlessly smelling our coffee or perfume as we walk by, we should really pay attention to how these smells make us feel.
Yeah, exactly. Notice which smells bring back good memories, which ones, maybe trigger some not so good feelings, and which ones don't seem to do anything at all. It's like becoming a scent detective in your own life.
I love that. So it's about tuning into our own personal scent preferences. And once we have a better sense of that, what can we do with it?
Well, once you know how different scents affect you, you can start being more intentional about the scents you surround yourself with.
Hmm.
Like, instead of just grabbing whatever air freshener smells good, you could choose scents that evoke specific feelings or memories that you want to, cultivate.
Oh, so like if I want to create a calming atmosphere in my bedroom, I could use lavender or chamomile because those are known for being relaxing.
Exactly.
And if I need some energy in the morning, maybe I could use something citrusy like grapefruit. It's like we can design our own little scent worlds to help us feel better.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the power of association. If you want to create a happy memory around a certain event, choose a special scent for that experience.
Mhm.
For example, you might light a certain candle during a romantic dinner or wear a particular perfume on a special occasion. That way, you're basically pairing a smell with a memory and making it even stronger.
That's so smart. It's like hacking our own brains to create better memories. I'm already thinking of all the scents I could use to, improve my mood or even just make my house smell incredible.
Pretty powerful stuff.
Yeah.
We're not just passively taking in whatever scents we come across.
Mhm.
We can actually use them to shape our experiences, to create the kind of life we want.
This has been such an amazing deep dive. We've learned so much about, the science of smell, the incredible connection between scent and memory, and all the cool things we can do with this knowledge. I feel like I'm walking away from this conversation with a whole new respect for my sense of smell.
Me too. It's been a real pleasure exploring this with you.
Thanks for joining us on this fragrant journey. Until next time, keep exploring the world of scent.